Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely flip how we view our relationship with the natural world. We spend so much energy studying animals, right? We track them, we film them with drones, we rigorously analyze their behaviors. But today, we're flipping the lens. Picture this. You're walking through a quiet forest, and a deer freezes right at the edge of a clearing, staring directly at you. When you lock eyes with that deer, it's pretty natural to wonder what it's thinking. Is it fear, just curiosity, or is it something closer to judgment? Well, when we actually ask this scientifically, neurologically, and behaviorally, the answer is going to completely humble you. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that animals don't just mechanically react to us. They actually study, evaluate, and form deeply complex opinions about us as individuals. When you visit a zoo or just feed ducks at a local park, something is actively being processed behind those eyes. Information is literally being filed away. Let's break down exactly what kind of files these animals are keeping on us. Section 1. Social memory and keeping files on humans. If you thought you could just blend into a flock of birds unnoticed, you are sorely mistaken. Think about how this plays out over time. There's this landmark University of Washington study where researchers wore specific masks while trapping crows on campus. Just walking through that same campus weeks later in those masks caused the crows to dive and scold them. But the truly mind-blowing part, even years later, those original crows taught their offspring to recognize and attack that specific dangerous face. A crow that has never, ever met you can already have a highly negative opinion of you simply because its parents did. You literally have a reputation in the crow community before you even say hello. And it's not just about categorizing humans as a general threat. These birds basically possess an HR-style reputation system for individual people. Crows will bring shiny buttons or, famously, even a single googly eye to people who are consistently kind to them. Magpies, they will hold targeted, long-term grudges against specific people who disturb their nests, while totally ignoring neutral strangers passing by. And yes, even pigeons, the birds we so often dismiss, can accurately recognize and remember individual human faces and photographs. They are paying incredibly close attention to exactly who you are. Section 2. Dog intelligence and reading human emotions. Let's move over to our closest companions and see how this builds into an almost supernatural ability to read our feelings. We think we understand dogs, but the biology behind our connection is just staggering. For over 15,000 years, we have essentially been running an unconscious selective breeding program aimed at making dogs absolute specialists in reading us. The dogs that were best at interpreting human intentions and emotional states, those were the ones that survived and thrived in our environments. We basically made them experts in us. You know when your dog stares at you so intently? It's because they're actively cross-referencing your facial expressions with your tone of voice. To put it scientifically, you are literally your dog's greatest reward. fMRI scans on awake dogs actually show that the scent of their specific owner lights up their dopamine system more than food and more than other dogs. They correctly interpret pointing gestures, which is something even chimpanzees struggle with, and they biochemically absorb our stress. They synchronize their cortisol levels when we're anxious and oxytocin levels when we're calm. Their brains literally light up and sync hormonally with your specific emotional state. But actually, it gets a little haunting when we look at experiments on fairness. If one dog performs a task and gets a treat, and another dog, watches, performs the exact same task and gets nothing, the unrewarded dog doesn't just get confused, it stops cooperating entirely. It looks away and completely disengages. Your dog absolutely knows when you are being unfair to them. A primal sense of fairness is being violated, and they absolutely judge you for it. Section 3. The Animal Analysts and their Libraries of Behavior. Now we scale up to some of the largest brains on the planet to see how they maintain vast archives on human behavior. Because if birds have social files, these animals have entire libraries. Take elephants in Kenya's Amboseli ecosystem, for instance. They perform intergenerational cultural risk assessment by distinguishing between different human ethnic groups based on collective track records. Because of historical conflicts, the distinct scent and clothing of Maasai men triggers significant fear and avoidance across the herd. And this is passed down to younger elephants who never even experience the conflict directly. But the scent of Kamba men, who just don't have that same history of conflict, triggers no such generalized fear response. Because they keep these massive archives, the experience of human cruelty structurally alters them, resulting in measurable, decades-long PTSD. But on the flip side of that coin, consistent kindness results in incredibly moving individual loyalties that completely cross the species barrier. Elephants have been known to mourn familiar humans exactly like they mourn their own, returning to the exact spots where beloved humans died years later. Sanctuary elephants will even flat out refuse to eat when a specific trusted caretaker is sick. And hey, it's not just happening on land. Wild dolphins are actively studying us too. Because their own societies are incredibly complex, with constantly shifting alliances, they apply that exact same social modeling to humans. They essentially name humans by assigning us specific signature whistles, and they can remember your name across years of separation. They are running an ongoing social calculus on whether you are reliable, all based on your past behavior. Section 4, the landscape of fear and our map of dominance. To really understand the full weight of how animals perceive us, we have to look at how our collective presence shapes the very geography of their minds. Ecologists call this the landscape of fear. It's this invisible, constantly updated psychological map that animals maintain of their environment to assess where danger and safety are at any given moment. And for most mammals on Earth today, humans absolutely dominate this invisible map in a way that no natural predator ever has in the history of the planet. A staggering 2019 study published in Ecology Letters played audio recordings across multiple continents to test this. They found that, across ecosystems, the behavioral flight response to a simple human voice is consistently and significantly stronger than the response to a lion's roar or leopard sounds. Let that sink in for a second. The sound of us just talking is scarier to them than the apex predators they have evolved alongside for millions of years. We are essentially an existential condition to them. Our mere presence on their map fundamentally alters how they feed, sleep, and survive. Just the lingering scent or sound of humans forces wildlife into smaller home ranges, spikes their baseline stress hormones, and physically disrupts their natural nocturnal behaviors. We are haunting the natural world, even after we leave an area, which ends up reducing reproductive rates and shortening their lifespans. Section 5. Two-way relationships and uncoerced partnerships. Yet, despite all of this well-earned fear, the spectrum of animal attention reveals something unexpectedly beautiful when we zoom back in on individual interactions. Across the globe, completely wild, untrained animals are making calculated choices to engage in mutually beneficial, uncoerced relationships with specific humans they have analyzed and deemed safe. You've got the wild dolphins in Monkey Mia, Australia, voluntarily bringing fish to share with specific humans, generation after generation. You have honey guidebirds in East Africa reading humans well enough to know exactly which hunters are trustworthy partners to lead to beehives. And you have great apes actively choosing the company of specific, respectful researchers. So, what runs through all of this? Whether it's ancestral terror embedded in their ecology or a slow, careful extension of trust, these animals are acting as rigorous scientists. What connects it all is attention. They aren't just seeing a generic human species, they are seeing you. And you are the subject of their research. Ultimately, as we've explored throughout this explainer, you are a heavily scrutinized character in their world. You have a reputation. That crow on the wire, the elephant in the field, the robin in your garden, they are not just some passive background to your life. They are analysts. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over the next time you lock eyes with an animal. We know for a fact they are studying us with incredible precision, patience, and long memories, but what would they think of us if we started paying the exact same quality of attention back?